Hi, everybody. Let me move this here a little bit. 1,643 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss in the line of duty. So, yesterday we were notified by the Department of the Army, by the Department of Defense, that they have determined that Richard was active duty, murdered in the line of duty. So that's a huge development, and it has a lot of legal implications. We are on the phone constantly right now with just a lot is happening because not only they are reaching out, but other agencies are reaching out to us right now. And you saw that even the people are reaching out because they know what this means, that he was on Fort Bliss and murdered in the line of duty on Fort Bliss. Okay, let's hear more. Let's hear more now, right? And we have been right all along, and we have a robust amount of evidence. We have files, so many files, and those files have been documented, and we did not keep them to ourselves. If any, we put them out there. We have been very deliberate in sharing all of our information, filing all of our information with all the different agencies, and refiling it. And we're going to continue to, because now or continue to document and file, and remind and refile, right? Because we're in a new administration right now. The administration is very different. And you see that Fort Bliss now at Biggs Air Force Base, which we're very familiar with. Rob's father, Rob was stationed there at Biggs with his father, who was in the Air Force. And of course, my father was with ADA, right? I was born on White Sands Missile Range. I'm one of the very few babies born on White Sands Missile Range. They don't have a clinic there anymore. It was just a very short little time in 1965. Now you know how old I am. And, so it was just a very, very short time. And it was, you know, uh, oh, God's providence to have me born right there at White Sands, and go to school in El Paso, and go back often, often back and forth from Europe. So I know El Paso well. I swam on the swim team there at the Sand Sharks with Colonel Johnson. I was confirmed there at the little replica chapel. I don't even know if it exists anymore, if that replica chapel exists. Um, and that's where I was confirmed. Um, Went to school at Bassett. That was eighth grade year. But I went, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth. Um, so I, absolutely have roots in El Paso. And of course, with the German community there, since my parents both German and I speak German, we have a long, uh, with the German American Club there. Now the Germans, a couple years ago, left after, wow, uh, over 50 years, right? They were there. And so we know about the German American Club, which is, or the German military that were there because, we would go to the German commissary. Yeah. And so we understand about Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and her late, I should say, ex husband, who was a victim with the Walmart mass shooting. But they were long divorced, and anyway, there's a lot of allegations of fraud there that need to be investigated. When it was being investigated, there was really an attempt to stop it. So something is fishy going on, because what is Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia's family doing with Richard's possessions after he was murdered, right? What is uh, a person connected to the Walmart mass shooting, uh, family member, doing with Richard's items, right? After he was murdered. That's a huge question, and that needs to be answered. And of course, I just put up, I have a couple screenshots that I took, a couple of photos that I took just now, and it's of Leilani Hart's. It's so hard to mention because it's so terrible, y'all. Of Leilani Hart's affidavit, and I went back and I read it, and it's horrible. Don't read it. Don't read it. Don't read it. It's so terrible. She has to be arrested, right? She has to be arrested. But I'm going to post those up. I just have to only get like a little bit of an area of the affidavit. The main part that I think that needs to be shared is the 7-year-old that was abused in the worst way in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household, and that needs to be posted, because it's getting to that point where things, the institutional support is just growing and growing and growing, and the evidence needs to be out there so that everybody will understand. Um, yes, Dallas Hart is Richard's platoon leader. Yes, the son of Leilani Hart. But right now, immediately, yesterday, Leilani Hart needs to be arrested because she has clear, documented violations of the law, and there's no getting around it. If she lied, she needs to be arrested. If it's the truth, which is Christ have mercy, she needs to be arrested. Absolutely. So this is absolute child abuse in the worst kind of way. And it's, there's a problem there in El Paso. There really is a problem there on Fort Bliss, and hundreds of thousands of children. It's the epicenter of this child trafficking, and hundreds of thousands of them now that are mostly dead. And Richard absolutely would not stand by and not do anything. He wouldn't. No way. No way. And so, and of course, we have the confirmation that he absolutely was a whistleblower. There's no doubt. It's all confirmed. And that he was helping those children. He was attempting to help the children. And, it's big business. And so, just the narcotics alone are 90 billion. And I think the children are a bigger business. And especially when you have hundreds of thousands of them, when you have an open border. But that's ended now with President Trump. Thank you so much, President Trump. Thank you so much. He absolutely closed down the border already, day one in El Paso. So promises made, promises kept. Um, and he closed down that border, and he then designated the Mexican cartels. I would even put El Paso cartel right in there, these cartels down there, as terroristic organizations. And that even goes for narco politicians that aid and abet these terroristic organizations. And so I think there's some shaking going on in the political spheres in Mexico and in El Paso, because we have absolutely confirmed that Richard's unit is connected to the Mexican cartel. So those unit members, if they're aiding and abetting, if they were cooperating, with the Mexican cartels, with the criminal trafficking, be it children, be it child, the worst kind of videos, be it weapons and ammunition, be it drugs. Um, you know, uh, Now it's a huge federal offense that you can face the death penalty. And this is very serious business now. And if you're, a general, if you're a representative, you're going to face that same um, scrutiny, the same penalty if you are a politician or a general that is aiding and abetting, or corroborating, whatever. Um, yeah. So this is, and that's why when you see, well, why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Well, President Trump won the election. President Trump, you have to remember Representative Veronica Escobar. She was the co-chair for Biden, right? She had Biden's ear. And, then Biden, of course, is not in his right mind. And so um, there was like a little coup, I mean, it really was illegal what happened when Harris just kind of stepped in and shoved Biden to the side and took over all that money. And when I say all that money, it was a lot of money. It was like $1 billion, right? It was over $1 billion. And Veronica Escobar became the co-chair for Harris right away. Now that just doesn't happen. There was a phone call. There was a phone call from somewhere to Harris campaign and said, I've got the right person for you. I've got the right person. So Veronica Escobar was not the right person, was she? She she might have the right contacts, but she wasted that money, over $1 billion, and ended in debt, $20 million in debt, I believe I read. So she had the ear of Harris campaign, and and then she just voted against medical care for babies born alive if they survive an attempted, um, you know, these babies are all wanted. You have to understand, these babies are all wanted. And how do I know that? Because Richard and Robert were adopted, and they were older, and we got them in 9 months, right? 9 months, I always say, see, it was like pregnancy, right? 9 months. But there were so many people that wanted babies, right? They want babies. And they, wait a long time for them. These are wanted children. They're all wanted. They're all God's creation. And yeah, so Veronica Escobar voted against that, voted against medical care to save their lives. And, that's really sickening. It just shows you where she's at, because she absolutely turned a blind eye to, and I don't know, maybe she did more, but in these hundreds of thousands of children that are now mostly dead. that are, all the way up to 17 years old. And there's all kinds of reasons for them, all kinds of trafficking reasons. And it's horrible. It really is very, very evil. So Richard absolutely was a whistleblower and was then put in his whistleblower reports. That means that Veronica Escobar knew the case. He knew that she knew the case before Richard was murdered. Okay, she knew, and so did the command. They all knew, and so did the law enforcement. They all knew, and I got corroborating witness statements that they all knew, and that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday, right? And more and more. So so we know that the actions against Richard, uh, even by the command, even by General Clem Coward, even by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, we know that their actions were an abuse of power, that they used the tools that we have entrusted to them against Richard unlawfully, illegally used against him, um, wrongfully used against him, really an abuse of power against their own soldier. And that tells you that their bank accounts need to be audited, right? That's what it tells you. It tells you that their bank accounts need to be audited. And then, you have to reach up to Michael Garrett when all of this was going on, and all he wanted to do was offer some prayers, thoughts and prayers to us. I think his bank account needs to be audited too. And they're very, very slick with all this money laundering and everything. But it is really very, very clear with all the evidence, hard evidence, circumstantial evidence, irregularities. We have absolutely collected all of that. And, uh, you know, starting in 2021, um, Dolores Montanez came on the scene. She solicited our communication with us, and she's been absolutely involved from the very beginning. And she had information that she said, um, because she had connections, right? She had a source. She had a source. We believe that source with the individuals may include Leilani Hart. It could be. It could be because she absolutely has information that is about the forcible removal of Richard and the murder of Richard. She has a lot of information about that. And now we've been contacted. And so we have suspended communication with her, from her, really, really from her. Um, and that is really important information because there seems to be some security risk going on, and of course, risk to the case, um, interference with the case, and we don't want that. That is why we reached out to the editor of El Paso Matters during Christmas because of ongoing cases with Bob Moore. And so, with this, we don't want to interfere with any cases. We've been externally contacted, internally contacted, that that there may be a security risk here, and so we have suspended communication from her, and that is huge breaking news because the suspects are Leilani Hart and Tavita Nusa, of course, Dallas Hart, but the big suspect is Lalani Hart. She has to be arrested no matter what. Okay, no matter what. It's not like the FBI have to just go visit and see. No, they already have enough. They already have enough to arrest her. And many people have been arrested on a lot smaller stuff. This is big. This is very big. This is an abuse of a 7-year-old child in the worst way by multiple members of the household. Absolutely, she needs to be arrested. So we are at we're at a very good point right now. Not the best point. The best point would be getting Richard's remains, right? That would be the best. That the best would be hearing that Lalani Hart was arrested and that many others were arrested. But we're at a good point because of the feedback that we're getting, the contacts that we're getting, the ongoing investigations that we're hearing from. And of course, it's been 4 days since President Trump took the oath of office. This is not quite 4 days. It has been absolutely amazing. And the troops are arriving there in El Paso. And so the law has been set, the troops are there. And yeah, we're getting very good feedback from all of that. And, Richard's case is not something that's little. It's not something to be ignored. It is really by far, I think the biggest case in the United States history. Okay, by far as the agencies involved go. There are so many agencies involved. We're almost at 30 agencies involved in this now. So it's huge, and there's no other. You can look it up. You can look up other cases and see how many agencies were involved. But Richard's case, it's huge, and there's just nothing to compare to that. So it's not being ignored. There's strategy going on here, and we're very patient, and we are very grateful for the designation that Richard was murdered in the line of duty. Now, are we grateful for that? We're not grateful in the way you think. We are grateful that they did make the designation because it makes getting Richard's remains and accountability much easier. So we're grateful in that sense. But yeah, it's all heartbreaking. It's all heartbreaking. It's just an emotional roller coaster. And we thank you so much for all your love that you're sending, your perseverance that you are absolutely watching and sending to, because I even got from dear friends that have been watching from the beginning that they all know Richard, sending so many prayers, so much love to us, and that keeps us really strong. Be sure the one thing that you can do on top of the prayers for us is to share the information, to get the word out, because that will help us get accountability and get our son's remains back. So we do ask that you share. It's all about real news getting out there instead of the fake news, right? It's all about the real news getting out there. So thank you so much. And it is Saturday night, and so have a great time. We'll burn the midnight oil here, um, and I will be back tomorrow.